what is perfect equilibrium mean to you?
Yeah, well, perfect equilibrium is all about, well, effectively, perfect equilibrium is happiness for me. And it's about finding equilibrium through authenticity. The backstory about all of this is you mentioned the perfectionism. Yes, I've been a perfectionist for as long as I can remember. It started in childhood. It all surrounded the fact that my mother was my first piano teacher. And, you know, the very, very long story as to how it developed. But both of my parents were perfectionists. So I grew up in that kind of environment. For a very long time, it served me. I had a very lovely career as a music director. I've traveled the world with over 25 professional productions as far afield as Asia, Australia, Scandinavia, Canada, all over the States. And it was actually only really when I started my work on Hamilton that it became a problem. Because I had a heart attack 3 months into my role on Hamilton as the music director at the age of 43. And again, long story short, the root cause of that heart attack was workaholism and perfectionism. That then kickstarted a whole vibe where I was like, okay, there has to be a better way. And that better way is perfect equilibrium.
So I want to paint this picture a little bit. You grew up in England. Yes. Yeah. Okay. You grew up in England. You graduated with honors. There's this perfectionist like just coming through this theme of your life. So you graduated with honors, and then you started kind of doing some musical directing all over, as you mentioned, and then you come to the United States. And my question is this: like, is perfectionism, the need to be perfect, high achieving, is that different? Is that viewed differently, like based on the different cultures?
That's a really good question, actually. Is perfectionism regarded differently around the world? Yes, I think it is. I think the Western cultures view perfectionism differently from the Eastern cultures. I don't think the Eastern cultures really understand the kind of the negative. I don't know. I'm going to put a pause in here and go back and answer that question. That's a really great question. I think, you know, perfectionism is something that is kind of, it's misunderstood by so many, including the people that actually struggle with it. So through my research for my TED Talk on the subject in 2019, I realized that actually there is adaptive perfectionism and maladaptive perfectionism. Now, adaptive perfectionism is all the stuff that helps us hire or achieve great things. So it's all the work rate, it's the commitment, it's the drive, all of that stuff is adaptive and actually healthy. The unhealthy stuff is the maladaptive side. It's the side where, you know, we give ourselves an incredibly hard time because things aren't perfect. We will struggle with completely or very, very low self-esteem because we're not perfect. And the maladaptive side of perfectionism can really affect people in bad ways, no least with, you know, stress, but that can lead to depression and all sorts of kind of disorders that, you know, we need to steer clear from. Part of Perfect Equilibrium, or part of the aim of my company, is to persuade high achievers who value perfectionism, because many of them do, to consider perfectionism differently. Because so many creative high achievers were like I was, which was, perfectionism's awesome. It makes me different. It makes me stand out from the crowd. It helps me achieve all of the stuff. But what they don't understand is that the maladaptive side of things is really quite dangerous, as it was for me. So just to kind of capitalize on the heart attack, I spent all of my kind of late teens into my 20s, into my 30s, struggling with the most bullying and loud inner critic and low self-esteem possible. Every day was consistently filled with negativity. And the only way I felt equipped to deal with those issues was to effectively self-medicate. So I drank my way through my 20s into my 30s. There were all sorts of drug abuse as well to try and keep my head above water. So many creative high achievers think like that because they think that they're infallible. And they take all this stuff and they normalize it. But eventually our bodies shut down and our bodies say no. And that's exactly what happened with me. So that's why I'm able to say that it was the workaholism and perfectionism that caused the heart attack.